well-meaning people, and I appreciate all the opinions and feelings that go into something like the data center. But they never really ever came to us and said, hey, tell us about your town, tell us about the site, the industry, the mill that was there, the electricity. There was never any like fact-finding or details or any of that. They just outrightly said, we hate data centers and we want all of you people to hate data centers too. And it was like, well, that's not really helping anything, because we still have the issue of the conditional use permit, and we still have the fact that this is private entity to private entity, so it's not the government just gets to do this.
Are you indicating that the people that were against the data center weren't from Rapids?
All of them, I'm just saying all of them. A lot of great people from Rapids, I respect all their opinions and all their input that they have, so.
Because
and
most of the
they're
people
voting
that
well.
started the group that was against the data, most of the
Yeah.
people that started it are from Rapids.
What I don't wanna do here is I don't wanna get into any arguments.
No, I know, I just wanted to
wanna-
clarify what you meant.
Great, yeah, I
This
just
is
wanna.
not outside. We are from this town, and we have some serious concerns about this. So it's not outside, it's not somebody agitating, it's not, we hate data centers. We don't want it to destroy our town. That's what's going on. We're terrified.
Okay, let me finish then, because then I apologize. If there is nobody from out of town, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm recording.
Okay. And I appreciate that, because I want to get this information out so that we're all on the same page. So my apologies to my understanding of how I felt that things.
Yes, it counts.
Because again, we are terrified, but at the same time, I know it's my job to take the heat. But I'm under attack too for things that I didn't do, I didn't say, and any of this stuff. So this is all getting really far outside of our control because of social media, which is a new entity, a new phenomenon. First time that I'm dealing with something like this too. So if you can give me some room as a human being to be able to make my mistakes and try to lead the town to the best of my ability, I appreciate that
A
too.
lot of us have never seen any social media,
Okay,
but we know about data centers. They're
Right.
going on all over this country,
okay.
and we know about it.
So the best thing I can do right now is stick to what I know best. I can't speak for Loudoun County, I can't speak for Texas, I can speak for Wisconsin Rapids, what I've been working my tail off on to try to bring in economic development, which is what I was hired by all of you guys to do. Again, if I'm not doing it to the best of my ability, by all means, find somebody else to be able to do that. But this is what I know as of right now, so, let me figure out where I was at with this point. So, okay, so the public hearing was put out, and I apologize for saying this, but that is when everything kinda, blew up. So it kinda put us on this track of saying, okay, what are our next steps? So I went to Charlie Barron's, meeting, and then I went to the meeting after that. And then I went to other communities that have database centers. I talked to other people, I talked to other mayors and other communities. And I'm still doing that, and we're still going out to try to figure this out. But the one thing I heard was, from the community, we want to slow this down. And that's exactly what we did. So we went back and we talked amongst ourselves and said, let's pull this back a little bit, see where this company's at, and kind of regroup from there. So we went and talked to the company, and they actually were very much in favor of it, because they were feeling like they were trying to rush things too, because of the conditional use permit that we had just put into place. So we all agreed to take a step back, and so we took that step back, and that's kind of where we are right now. Like we're the government, we're the kind of the mediator to make sure that it's a level playing field. Our job is not to support data centers or be against data centers. Our job is to hear the constituents, the people, the businesses that wanna come here, the outside information that's there in order to make the best informed decisions possible. And if in the end, the people in the community on a large scale, because there's a lot of people in the community that aren't saying anything right now. So we're hearing the people that are most against it and taking that into consideration. And trying to formulate a big picture. The problem that we always face here is that, just to finish that, so that's where we're at right now with, we're in a holding pattern. They're not saying much, they're working on their due diligence. What we did in the meantime, before I go into the site itself and what it has to offer and what people are interested in, we did two things. We let them know, we hired outside counsel. So according to the ordinance, anytime there's a development, like say, Metallica that went out on the east side, park there, we are able to hire outside counsel to help guide us, because we're not professional developers, they are. So if we choose to hire outside counsel, then they have to, pay for that. So we brought that to them, and through our outside counsel, so we ended up hiring Chris Smith from Von Briesen and Associates, something like that, and, he is the lawyer that's been involved in all the data centers in Wisconsin that have been built, are being built, and that have been canceled, or the ones that are in the process right now. So he knows a lot, his firm knows a lot about how to handle this, what it does, so that basically it creates a buffer, because right now what was happening is people think that, like, I'm the mayor and I have absolute control over every little thing that happens, and I really don't. The system is set up so that I don't, me or anybody in my seat, I should say, don't have the power to just unilaterally decide on any of this. I don't have a vote in this unless for some reason the council votes 4-4, which I pray to God that never comes to this with this, 4-4, and then I would have to break the tie, and that would be pretty rough to do. But that's kind of how the system is set up. Outside of that, there's 15 departments that all play a role in the bureaucracy of making sure we have police, fire, roads, and all that stuff. We have a community development department that handles economic development. They're just doing their job. I'm a part of the conversation because I'm just doing my job as the department head. So we hired this Chris to be the go-between between us, to create that separation, so that people aren't, there's already people saying, well, Mayor Zachar's taking money, he's corrupt, he's doing all this stuff. I mean, little do they know, I got a family and I live in town, and all these horrible things that are being said about me are so far from true, but there's no way for me to fight it. You can't get on social media and you can't fight it on social media, because it just turns into a worse, situation than it started at. So we hired the outside counsel to give us that buffer. That's in place. The other thing that he was able to say right away is, and I told him I wanted this set up was a community benefits agreement, which was shared with us from one of the ladies at the Charlie Barron's situation that night, or show that night, gathering that night. So what that is, it's a way above and beyond the conditional use permit. You're able to put other things in there, like, especially with the 6 concerns that we have about data centers, which is light, noise, heat, electricity, water coming in and water going out. So those are all the main things but then outside of that, there's things that you don't want to necessarily dive into, because it gets kind of like weird territory when you're saying, well, if we let you come here, then you have to give us this. And that to me is like taking a step beyond like what our role as government is. But if the community is demanding that if they get to come here, they have to pay a certain amount of money towards our roads every year, or they have to build this building or give us this land, it's all stuff that can be put in the community benefits agreement outside of what I ever thought was there. Those things are possible. So that's stuff that Chris has been a part of. Every contract that's been written with Meta and the other companies, Chris has been a part of it, and he has those, so we can kind of use that as a basis for where we could go with this, if it comes down to going in this direction. Yep.
You keep saying the community has a voice. Are we going to, as a community, be able to vote, yes, we want it, no, we don't?
So I heard that there is a referendum that was put in place to be able to do that, yeah. But what I was told is we can't, from a state level, we can't make a referendum on something like that.
Oh, okay.
But we can look into it to see, because I heard that there was one that happened with the data center. Maybe it just wasn't it was just a referendum, it wasn't a binding referendum where you actually have to follow it, it's just to get the gauge of the community's input or something like that. So that's something we can look into, I'm not opposed to that.
So it's not in stone that it has been agreed they can come?
No.
They're still out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing's been agreed to.
Okay.
We were able to put the brakes on and everything stays there are no NDAs, there never has been any NDAs. There are NDAs that are put in place. It's a industry-wide standard that when people want to protect their desire to learn about your community without their competitors knowing that they're looking at your computer, stuff like that. NDAs serve a purpose, and typically they're fine, they're legal, but in this sense, they're being used against us in that sense, and I get that, and that's fine, but I'm just saying that there's nothing wrong with NDAs. But we've never signed any with any data companies, and we don't have any in place with any data companies.
I have a question.
Hold on a second.
Oh,
No,
Yeah, okay.
go to him.
You just said that. So is there a timeline of when, everything you said?
Yep.
I'm not taking any positions, is there a timeline when there's some, results or all this?
Where we're
different-
going?
Where we're going?
So Chris, the council is saying, if we go, because we wanted to start setting up community forums and just start, but again, I do better here in smaller groups or one-on-one to try to explain the entire situation as to what's happening and where we're at, than if we bring in, I mean, there's just so much anger that's been built up, you know, and I can't control that, but if we come into, our fear was if we come into a large theater with 500 people, that it would just, you know, take a direction that nobody wants in the community. We just wanna be able to have a conversation and talk about it. So we haven't set that up yet. The main reason being is if we don't have a company that's actually coming in to set up a data center, we really don't have any basis for the conversation to go by. So the next part of this conversation, we can go into some of the specifics of a hypothetical data center and how it would fit into that property. But right now, there just isn't one. So what Chris has realized is if we try to set that up and we don't have answers, we're gonna create more anger in the community because we don't have the answers that they want or they're looking for, because we don't have specifics to a business that wants to build something there. So that's kind of why we're in this holding pattern.
You keep saying anger. I don't know if the community has anger as much as they have concerns.
Yeah.
And from my own standpoint, you know, I'm looking at this and I'm researching, and no arms on this chair. I'm looking at this and I'm researching and I'm seeing more and more and more negative things about data centers. I have a part of my family, my extended family, lives in Beaver Dam. I just saw something this morning on, who knows, Facebook, some crazy website I look at, that Dane County has put a moratorium
Yep.
for 18 months on any building of data centers. I see an article where it says one of these multi-billion, you know, people who have so much money they don't know what to do with it, are now withdrawing their money out of data centers because of all this rejection of what they're doing. We also hear negatives about water, negatives about sign, negatives about power. Just turn on your TV and see it. So I don't think it's anger at it. I think we're researching and finding out more and more negatives.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is a small community. And honestly, these big companies come in, they have all this money, and they know that we're a prime target for, we want tax dollars, we want this and we want that. Was the money really worth it when you destroy the entire community?
Okay.
That's an area where a lot of people I talk to in this group of the no data center, I don't think anybody's really angry at you.
Okay.
We just
I
want
appreciate that.
information.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mistrust, I think, comes out of COVID, when we were lied to during COVID, and, I think there's a lot of mistrust of, we have a reputation of being a ignorant population that we can be bamboozled, and what happens to a community, one of the community benefits that's not talked about, that should be in there, is what happens if the AI bubble bursts? Are they gonna clean up the data center? And how are they gonna take care of that? Are they going to take care of the infrasound, the sound that you don't hear, but you feel up to 12 miles away? Are they gonna worry about those things and the effect on agriculture, the effect on human health? Are they gonna worry about those things?
No, they're not.
No.
Yeah, I can't, okay, what I can do, again, is speak to our community and understand that I'm just like one of you guys, like, I'm a part of this community, I wasn't in government 5 years ago, I'm pretty mistrustful, that's why I joined, so I could kind of understand better what it's like from the inside, so that I could at least try to help what I saw from the community, so understand that I'm just one of you that has got the inside information that I wanna get to you guys, so that we all have the same information.
One of the
What
other
I get
things that-
frustrated with is when people do personally attack me, and that's maybe where my anger comes from, and I know I have to have a thick skin as a politician, that's my job, but at the same time, that's, might be a little bit of why I'm saying it, so for that, I apologize.
Sure. Just one more thing, one more issue, we're talking, they're saying 5 buildings,
4 plus the one that exists already.
so there's 220 acres.
220 acres, but they would only be using, and think about it.
Yeah, they say that now, and that's the other
That's
thing,
usually
that's
the
the
way
other
they get their
issue.
foot in the door.
First you got 5, and then you've got 25.
Okay, but we're talking about, like, it's tough to say, like, if my job was to say, okay, everybody that comes here is lying to me, then how am I going to do any economic
Sure,
development?
no, I understand, I'm just
Right?
saying,
We can't start
nobody
a
has a
premise to
crystal
say
ball.
everybody's a liar, like, we can't, that's not a really good way to run a city or an organization or be a community, because otherwise we're all gonna be looking at each other and distrusting each other, and there's enough of that right now that hopefully we can try to make
Sure.
our way past that. What I can do though is talk more about the site itself and what is intriguing about it after we answer more of the questions. Yes, ma'am.
I have 2 concerns. One, all of this brouhaha for probably 20 or less total net jobs. We can do better than that, our whole economic development core. Second, who's going to pay for the upgrades necessary for electrical and water infrastructure? I think there needs to be a little poison pill that the company that wants to do the developing is going to pay that, not put it on the backs of us mostly retired folks.
Yeah, let me get to all those details as soon as I answer these few more questions, because I do have all those details that I can get into. Yes, ma'am.
The one thing I would say is we're not guessing as to what they're doing with these buildings. We have sure, you're not involved with them in other communities and other areas, but we do know, especially the companies that are already on, that we've already seen trying to come in, we know what they're doing with their buildings. Some of them are even being rented out to ICE. So we're gonna build 4 buildings, but we only need one of them for the data center right now, the others are for later.
But again, we're going off into a territory that I don't have any control over.
But,
and I don't-
but as part of the city council, you guys can put those things into play that these are not gonna be allowed. And you can look into the companies that you're letting come in and say, hey, we're not gonna allow you to do those things in our community.
Yeah, let me go into the detail. I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you, and if we do decide to go that route, we can do that, and then we can take the chance of either one of 2 things. They walk away because they don't wanna deal with it and they just wanna build data centers, or they can sue us because that's not typically how the government works. Like, you can't just tell an industry that they can't come into your community and do that, without ramifications from the statutes.
You can set legal standards that prevent their company from being able to set up what they wanna set up. You can, yes, it's illegal to tell a company that they can't do something, but you can set general standards for the community.
Through a conditional use permit.
So can't you make that permit so tell that they don't wanna come?
They can.
I mean, again.
But I don't think we're there. What I seen posted wasn't.
Let me get to your question first, and then let me talk about the site itself, because that's the important.
Well, there's one thing that sticks in my head. You don't have a company that wants to come yet, but you're working real hard at planning for one.
I'm not really planning anything, I'm just
You're
giving you
writing
information.
conditional use for a data center, but
I
you
think
don't have
we're-
a company. Usually.
But
when you're done,
the company was there, like, we took the moves we made because we needed to get it in place before they bought the property. So we needed to do that. Now that we put one in place, they're trying to figure out their way forward right now. So in the end, I feel like we did a really good job protecting the community. I don't get that sense from people, but I'm pretty sure that that's what we've been doing, is doing what we need
A whole
to.
lot of work going on right now where you don't have a person wanting to come. And some of that
understand,
I can
yeah.
understand.
I mean, what do you, When you say work going on, what do you?
All the stuff you've been doing.
Look at.
You've been doing all this.
We do have a company trying to come in.
I've been talking a lot about, like,
Yeah.
if it happens, right, because I'm trying to educate the community and let them know
And why
specifically
would
about
you
the
need to
site.
do that?
Because it's an
Because
industry
you want
that
one to
wants to
come.
come in.
We want industry to
Yeah,
come,
I don't.
not necessarily.
Again, you're
an
making
AI
it,
data
you're making it
center,
more
right?
personal than saying this is the government structure.
No, I'm not making it personal.
Well, I'm sorry, when you said you, I thought you meant me.
I don't
You're a
think
representative of the government.
Whatever
Okay,
your
thanks.
group is, or your team is.
All right.
Just
Yes,
one
ma'am.
more quick question or comment. There was gonna be two things and I forgot the one already. I think it has to go with the gray hair. What financial benefit are we gonna get? That's question number one. Question number two, I'm assuming they will put into, if the purchase goes through and the building goes through, that if in 10 to 15 years, becomes obsolete, that's my concern, it becomes obsolete. You have these buildings, and these are multi-billion-dollar companies, and we're gonna say, oh, we're gonna fine you $1 million for not taking the building down. And they're gonna say, okay, fine, we'll pay it.
There is a way to, put that in the conditional use permit that sets money aside for that.
Okay.
But the other side to this is, they're going to be 4 250,000 square foot warehouses versus a 650,000 building that's 1 block wide, 7 blocks long, that nobody can ever use again unless a miracle happens. Whereas here you have 250,000 square foot warehouses, when they're
Yeah.
empty, you can bring an industry just like that with
But
enormous
will-
amounts of power.
All right,
Will
good,
the
quick.
town be
Hold on.
destroyed by that?
No, okay, so let me go into that, we gotta stop it. Like, life does not end with anything, like, life keeps, Wisconsin Rapids is just fine, whether this comes or not. And again, I don't really care if this happens or not, but let's talk about the site real quick, because this is important. Alright, so what we have back there is 220 acres, it's brownfield. So there's never, it means there's chemicals in it, maybe. We don't have to test for it, because as long as it doesn't go into government hands, it doesn't have to be tested. So if it goes from private to private, it can just pass on, and the new owner can do what they want with it, not necessarily knowing what's in the land. So we can't build residential on it. There's a big landfill in the back there on the north side of the 220 acres that isn't going anywhere. We can't take it out, we can't move it. There's enormous footings in there, meaning cement blocks that held up the towers for the old craft mill that aren't gonna be taken out. So you have between the bedrock and the cement that was poured in there to build that facility, that's not going anywhere. So you can't go down, you can only go up. So only a few things are gonna be built there. It's manufacturing, industry, that's it. And so we can take out of the whole thing of like condos and all that kind of stuff. It's just not gonna happen. Yeah.
Well, the one thing was where they stored the wood,
Yeah.
which is a lot of acres.
Yeah.
There'd be nothing under that.
We should be okay there, but it is.
And that was the vast majority of that land, where that wood
Yeah.
was.
But it is part of the same land
Right,
ownership,
right.
so.
So what would
yeah,
they build there?
They get to do with it. Some of that will be the buildings, if, again, we're doing hypothetical now because the plan that they put forward is not necessarily, it hasn't been presented anywhere yet, so it's a hypothetical. But if they did build it, they would build, it would be 250,000 square feet per building, so 1 million square feet plus the stock warehouse is like
Is there a
150.
William Jenkins in here?
William
I have a
Jenkins.
quick message for you.
It's like, no.
Thank you.
It's like another 150,000 square feet. So to answer your question, we don't know exactly what it is yet, but some of these warehouses, and we're not making our decision based on this, I know people are gonna say that, but it's anywhere from $500 per square foot to up to $1,600 per square foot. So by far and above, they would be.
To
the
build, you
big-
mean?
No, for taxes.
Oh, okay.
Taxes bringing in. So by far, they would be the biggest taxpayer in the community if they were to come here and build something like that. We don't wanna make that decision based just on money, I get that. To the point of we don't wanna be the people that they think we are. We wanna be smart about this. But that is a reality. So we have a piece of land, Some of it is probably more usable than others, although there's still the landfill right there by that area, so it's still kind of all in that same industrial zone, situation.
I got a proactive, I know, I'm not going on back on a bunch of stuff, proactive. If there's a building, like we said, if it, 10 years, the industry dissolves, is there a way, like you're dealing, the city or whoever's dealing with demolishing the site now? Forget about data centers. We're talking about who's gonna pay for that. Can we make it so if they go in and do all this, in 10 years, it doesn't exist anymore, and they decide to move away? Or is there gonna be a way to make sure that they're gonna pay for it dismantling, just like we're going through now? And I'm not pro or against, I just wanna make sure that they're gonna be responsible, not just leave it and walk away. You know, or we're gonna be protected as a community.
Yeah, and again, we could put that in the conditional use permit and put it into, work it into a community benefits agreement to have that handled. The question that I have is, would we want them to take them down? Because again, we can only do manufacturing in industry in that area if we have 4 big warehouses that are no longer there, like say in Port Edwards. The problem in Port Edwards is the mill. The storage facilities, the big warehouses have been bought and used, and they're doing manufacturing and paying taxes and doing great things. It's the mills that were always the issue, because they were built specifically for the machines, and that makes them highly hard to use in the future. So what we're talking about here is 4 big warehouses. And it would be interesting if they were just cold storage facilities, because we put up cold storage facilities all over our state without anybody batting an eyelash on it.
Right.
So that's always interesting, because they're just as big as these facilities are in that sense. But to continue on, so from there, this land is all powered by Quebco, Consolidated Water and Power Company. So it's a completely separate electric company from WWLC. They have the 5 dams from Dubay down to Wisconsin Rapids, and they generate on average about 30 megawatts of power. And right now they buy 15 megawatts of power on average from Alliant to power the Wisconsin Rapids machines, the Buren and the Stevens Point machines. At their peak, they're doing about 225 to 250 megawatts of power to run all those mills. But in the meantime, some of those mills came down, some of the distribution infrastructure came down, so they only have capacity, as far as we can tell, for like 110 megawatts of power. So that gives them above the 45 megawatts, somewhere in the 60 to 70 megawatts of power capacity. We don't really want that to go away. Like that's what people are interested in, whether it's manufacturing or data. But manufacturing, like say Metalco, that they melt down all that aluminum that they have in there, they're only using about 5 megawatts of power on average, so it doesn't take as much power up. And we don't wanna lose that. But, okay, so Quebco owns that distribution center, and they work through ATC, American Transmission Company. That's the company that owns the power lines that get it from the generating facility to the distribution facility. So, and then the generating facility right now for them is Alliant. So Alliant would have to work with the hypothetical database center if they said, we want a 150 megawatt facility with these 4 buildings. So it'd be basically, 25 megawatts per facility, or maybe a little bit more than that. And so they would have to work with Alliant. Then Alliant has to figure out where that power comes from. We as a state, electricity is generated and used at the same time, relatively speaking, unless you have batteries somewhere that can supply it for a couple of hours. Typically, we create what we use. So everything we're generating is being used, and then we have what's called peaker units, and Marshfield has one right now, 60 megawatts, and they're building a second one for 60 megawatts. And what they do then is when we all come home from work and flip on our lights and our stoves and we're cooking dinner, there's a huge surge in demand, so everybody flips on their peaker units to handle that peak time, and then they shut them back off after we go to bed. So my point to that whole thing is that we generate what we need. So if they need more, we're going to eventually have to create more electricity statewide, countrywide and worldwide, because the world is growing. The electricity demands on the world are gonna go threefold, as far as I understand, in America also, if we want to compete with China and Russia and the other companies that are doing the AI revolution electrical infrastructure updates in order to do that. But we're really far behind the game as far as I understand, especially with China, because they've been doing this for decades now, building nuclear facilities and doing all this upgrading to their systems. So they're kind of ahead of the game, whereas we're living on a lot of old technology right now that's been built 100 years ago sometimes, or more, 60 years ago. So we do have that to work with. If we're gonna increase that, we have to build new generation. But the company, I just talked with the PSC, which is in control, they're the commission that's in charge of the public utilities service. They're setting it up to say, anybody who needs generation has to build their own generation, which I think is what'll happen. Eventually, these guys will build their own power plants, these data centers. But right now, we're using up like any capacity that's there is what they're trying to do. So they're saying, we would like to use your 60 megawatts. ATC's there, Alliance there, they work on this. WWLC, our company that we pay rates to, is over here, completely separate from that distribution system. So there is no overlap. Where there would be overlap is down the road, say 10 years, when they build a new facility that generates the electricity, and we're buying from Alliant, or Quebco's buying from Alliant to get it to this facility, and we're also buying from Alliant to get it to our facility, we would be probably paying for that new generation to happen. But we're going to have to pay for that regardless anyways, because they have to build new generation. We can't continue to use the old facilities forever. So there is that issue that's out there. But in the meantime, this distribution system, this database, these manufacturing companies all go through Quebco, ATC, and Alliant on a separate bill than anything that we would be touched with. So the electrical systems are completely different. Water system, yes ma'am.
I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about the backstory of this. Just for a moment, could you address the human costs? Maybe sounding like the old Christmas movie, It's a Wonderful Life, but when we had a major taxpayer in town, the great big paper mills, and they left, and the bottom dropped out, there were divorces. Suicides, I was a first responder, I went to a few of them. Bankruptcies, foreclosures, children moving away. Do we really wanna go down that road again to get maybe 20 jobs and in 10 years higher electrical rates? It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it in the human cost. My opinion,
Yeah,
something
I
to think
respect.
about.
I respect what you're saying. Like I don't have. I have a heart too. Like I'm part of that whole thing. I guess what I'm talking right now is about the possibility of some economic development and what's come of that. I guess during the 120 years as the mill was being built and people were feeding their families and making a good living and building up to that. And I can't speak to how sad it is that after 120 years of building something that just like that, it seemed to go away, like drop off.
Everything is not dollars, and when there's a vacuum created, what moved in? A lot of illegal drugs.
Yep.
That's why every little municipality has a drug dog, an investigator.
But those were there before. They were there before.
It
the
mushroomed
mill closed.
greatly. I have
I don't
law
know.
enforcement connections too.
And as much as I want to, I would love to have this conversation with you one-on-one, because right now, I guess
For the,
I
just
don't
for
know how to
20
answer,
jobs?
I don't know how to necessarily respond to what you're saying in terms of what I'm trying to get out to everybody here. It's like a whole
It's not
different thing
worth
that I
it.
respect, and I could end it, right? Like I feel like that just makes me wanna end the conversation, because I don't know where to go with it. I mean, it is sad when people lose, their jobs and their livelihoods.
Well, it's okay.
I think the way to go with that is to tell your community that you want what's best for all of us, not just for a few people. And I think that's what you're trying to say. I'm on your side right now. What you want to tell us is that you want what's best for the whole community, but we can't talk in hypotheticals, and until we know what's actually coming through. But I think where you're digging in is because you think we're all just mad at you. And
I think I'm okay.
let
I'm
me
just trying to get
let
this
me
information out.
let me finish.
Okay.
you think we're all mad at you, and you've grabbed that a couple times because we use the word you.
Right.
You're just representing the government. And right now, I think I speak probably for almost everybody in here when I say it may come across as anger, it's because we're scared. Nothing good has been announced about data centers anywhere, and it seems like the government, I won't say you, it seems like the government isn't listening to us. They're listening to, oh, did I hear tax dollars coming in? Oh, tax dollars. That's all they're listening to. So we need to know that that's not what you're listening to.
Yeah, I tried to explain it, like, I don't want that to be the crux of it. It is a reality. What I do want to continue doing is talk about the infrastructure. And the reason I'm doing that is because that's kind of my job, is to say, these are the resources we have in the community. Like, it's a municipal corporation. It actually is a corporation, and you guys hire me to run the corporation. And the only reason I'm speaking in hypotheticals right now is because we're having an impromptu conversation about it. I didn't set this up. I'm just here doing my best to keep it organized and try to get this information out there.
One question.
Yes, sir.
Conditional use, you said that.
Yeah.
Has that been etched in stone? Is this
The
it?
conditional use permit is absolute. It's an
Yes, but
ordinance.
as the one that we've submitted, or have
We
we
can't submit
submitted?
it until they actually submit a plan.
So, okay,
it's-
so
yeah,
what we have is, we still have the ability to write in things on the conditional use
Yeah.
permit. Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
And again, if the community is able to convince the council, who are the voting body, I am not the voting body unless it's a tie, to say, we want to, we want them to rewrite the ordinance to zone them out and take our, if something does come down the line with lawsuits, we'll figure that out. But that's a council thing. Like,
Yeah,
that
I
all
don't
goes
think
through the
people
council.
understand that, they think that conditional use thing is all done and set in stone,
Well,
and
it
this
is
is the way
right.
it is.
It's not even the conditional use, it's the ordinance that was created. So the ordinances are our laws, just like statutes are the state laws and laws for the federal government are the laws. So we have ordinances. So we created an ordinance that makes it mandatory that you need a conditional use permit in order to put a data center on an industrial site. And there's some more details to that. So
Right.
if we wanna change that, then we need to go back to the council, to the planning commission, write a new ordinance, and then have the council pass it, and then it becomes the law of Wisconsin Rapids.
That's how do you, what you just said, how
Talk
do
to
you do
your
that?
alderman, it's the alderman.
So I mean, do we need to organize now and go to Alderman and tell them now, or do we wait through a process, or how is that?
I would talk to your alderman now. Somebody has to bring it,
Can
one of
you-
the aldermen has to bring it to the.
Can you reassure us that there hasn't been any pre-construction authorization such as an initial permit by rule that grants authority without public notice or input? This is intentional with the data centers, they get their foot in the door and then they get higher level permits later on.
No, they have nothing right now.
You can guarantee that.
No, it just is, like, you would have seen it, like, we canceled the planning commission, which would have been the first step, and then from there, if the planning commission passed it, it would have went to the council, so that would have been the second step, and they would have had to approve the conditional use permit. So right now, we can't do this stuff behind closed doors, like, I know
Right.
people think there's all this stuff going on behind closed doors, but
That's
there's not,
reassuring.
besides conversations, because again, that is my job, so I do talk to people. I have to in order to do my job properly, and not just with data companies, but with all manufacturers that come and all restaurants and all people that, want to get stuff accomplished through the city, we have to be able to communicate with them, so,
That's reassuring.
yeah. Yes, ma'am?
How aware will the community be of the data that is involved? We always feel like there's a hidden agenda. This is where I'm coming from. Everyone in here has a different agenda. Mine is, what is the data? Since I got the letter from the Marshfield Clinic that there was this data breach, if any of you got that letter,
Oh, yeah.
there were emails and employees, and we aren't really gonna tell you what it was, but you were on the list. and, you know, I won't get into what it was, cause I called and they told me a little bit about it, but the data, how will, that's what's the mystery to me, what data? And I know this is always being taken, data has always been around.
Yeah,
I
we're in
haven't
World
put
War
this
III
there.
right now, it's it's all about data. So to answer your question, again, we're going off on something that I don't know a whole lot about, but
I feel like they're not telling us that, you know.
They never will.
They won't, it's a private company, so the data that they're protecting is,
They have that
Hold on,
privacy
yeah, I
right to
feel like
do
we're going
that,
down
but
a
still.
path
Yep.
that we don't need to go down right now. Like,
Yeah.
what I would like to do if we can is, I just wanna talk through the other 5 issues. We can talk more about data and what they took from you. And keep in mind too, there's like 60-ish data centers in Wisconsin already that have been here for over 50 years, or, you know, within that time frame. So data centers are not anything new, it's just right now when they're building them so big.
Hyperscale,
Yeah, that's what has got us kind of freaking out. Now they're building like supercomputers. I just went and visited, Mount Pleasant, and they built the first supercomputer there. They're gonna have another 10 or 12 data centers when it's all said and done. They're just, you know,
So
monstrous
you
computers.
visited
Yeah.
running, operating data centers that are hyperscale?
Yeah, I mean, Mount Pleasant's probably your best bet. Most of them are being built. If you wanna see some, I did not take a trip down to Loudoun County yet. That's the main place in Texas is the
So
second.
what was
biggest
the
one.
noise?
So they put the acoustical engineers on it because in the beginning, that one building that was finished, there was a noise that they heard, and they put them on it and they got it down to 0, like nobody can hear any noise now. And that
They
was
can
the
still
fan.
feel it.
So, I don't know about that. I
Yeah.
guess, you know,
Yeah.
I can't argue that because I'm not an acoustical engineer, so I can't
But
argue
there
that
isn't
point.
a lot of residential around there.
No,
Is there?
it's quite, I think it's like about a half a mile away is one residential, but, yes, sir.
As I'm listening to all this, and, there's, the fear factor is so strong here, and trust factor, and communication is the key to the whole thing. We need to work with you, you need to work with us. We all need, I call it the Weebies, together, we need to work together in a positive way.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to do you said it, he said, that's not gonna get us anywhere. So, we have voted for you, you are our leader, and we respect you. We need our residents, taxpayers, to be respected, because we trusted the process here. You're in a heck of a position, but what we need to do is we need to understand and communicate with each other, all of us, to solve this problem in a positive way. Is that possible?
I feel like that's what I'm trying to do, but I don't know, am I missing? Am
Just
I-
asking you.
Yeah, I believe I believe that's what I do every day, is try to communicate effectively. I can't do it through social media, I have to do it face to face, because most everything I take is gonna be taken out of context, what I say, so I struggle with that. And I just gotta figure out, but this right now is the best way, and I'll do this every day if I need to.
So maybe we need a liaison between the mayor and our representatives and the taxpayers to get this communication going and a trust factor going and problem solve it.
Yeah, I think that's what we hired Chris to do also.
What about us? Where are we in that process?
But I'm saying, I think that's, we hired Chris to do the public forum, to be able to talk and have communication like we're doing right now.
But we don't feel our voices being answered here.
What do you mean?
Well, the worst thing isn't if they come and then have the AI bubble burst. The worst thing is all the property values in Wisconsin Rapids dip down to 0. Nobody wants to move here, nobody can sell their homes. And that's gonna be the worst thing.
Why would that be?
It's already happened.
Because that's what's happening.
That's what's happened after that's what happened after the mill left.
That's what's happening.
Because of noise and because of the water issue
Because
and the power issue.
the temperature goes up 2 centigrade degrees with a hyperscale data center in the environment. The water, if it's